Metro car to Detroit Airport, took a 747 flight number 11 non-stop to Tokyo, spent 130,000 frequent flyer miles upgrading our coach tickets to business class. I don't care what anyone says, business class definitely has its perks and is worth every penny. Although I still don't know what I'm supposed to do with the hot towel. After 12 hours, 7 courses of airplane food, and 4 movies, we arrived in Tokyo. Upon landing, we were greeted by the Japanese hazmat department where we were individually screened for any biohazard or pandemic-inducing diseases. We are released from quarantine 3 hours later and made our 90-minute bus ride to our hotel. We're staying at the Cerulean Tower, one of the nicest hotels in Tokyo. The view is as priceless as electronic massage toilets which also play MP3s. I attempt to watch some Asian TV but quickly get lost. I couldn't read the remote control and I'm pretty sure I ended up ordering 17 adult movies. Not sleeping for 28 hours and being completely delusional, we decide to immediately hit the streets. Our hotel is in an area called Shibuya, population of billion. To try and describe the energy felt here is literally impossible. Try picturing New York 20 years from now mixed with watching the movie Tron on an acid trip. For anyone into never-ending nightlife, eye-popping architecture, bizarre sexual perversions, lifelike arcade simulators on every corner, neon lights, hoverboards, and millions of hot Asian chicks who dress like Sailor Moon, this city is your walking wet dream. The next morning, being partially refreshed, we leave the hotel and quickly get swept away by a tidal wave of people. Saw some cool graffiti, saw some bad graffiti, saw a scary look into my future. Walked for 10 miles and literally got lost in translation. Took a lot of pictures, saw a lot of weird street signs. Witnessed a healthcare protest, got my fortune told, then tried to get my money back. Still walking, we stumble upon a pachinko parlor. Not understanding how to play, but enticed by the flashing lights, we sit down and waste some time. Being you're never more than 10 feet from a vending machine, we decide to grab some drinks. I go into the 7-Eleven and fall in love with Japanese junk food. If you've never tried sesame chicken Kit Kats or spicy teriyaki Pringles, I thoroughly recommend them. Walking more, we stop at a couple of shrines. I watched as people donated money, rang a bell, and prayed. I thought if there was one place my sins would be forgiven, it would definitely be here. Getting even more lost and approaching near exhaustion, we locate a police station but are scared off by the giant action figures in front of it. Walked by a huge mob of people that were waiting in line for the grand opening of a shitty chain store. Since my feet were starting to bleed, we had no choice but to figure out the subway system. Inside the subway is truly an experience. I also figured out where everyone does a majority of their sleeping. No matter how comfortable I got with the subway system, I could never seem to find the station's exit. We arrived in Akihabara, also known as Electronic Town, and were immediately surrounded by miles of the hottest gadgets, sex stores, and fantasy cafes Japan had to offer, not to mention every blinking light ever created. This area is definitely not recommended to anyone who suffers from epileptic seizures. Visited Japan's largest electronics store, saw a lot of computers as well as every cell phone ever made. Got hungry, so we ate McDonald's. Next morning we woke up at 4:30 a.m., made our way to the largest fish market in Japan to witness the world-famous tuna auctions at dawn. Picture the New York Stock Exchange, but with giant fish and screaming Asians. Some of these tunas were selling for an upwards of $40,000 US. I tried to buy 2. After the auction, we walked around the market for a while. Shoji attempted to steal one of the fish buggies, and then we were forcefully asked to leave. The rest of the market offered a variety of bizarre foods, none which sat very well in my stomach. Shoji wanted to take us for a traditional Japanese breakfast, which was basically eating sushi at 6 a.m. Hesitant at first, I quickly embraced the idea of eating some of the freshest sushi in the world. Saw the oldest kabuki theater in Japan. Unfortunately, it was closed. Took the subway to Ginza. By this point, I've lost all concept of time. Went back to Harajuku, walked around, and did some major shopping. Don't bother trying to keep up with Japanese fashion, you'll never survive. The clothing is as outrageous as the price of a can of Coke in our hotel. I immediately fell in love with everything I saw, however, if you weigh more than 140 pounds or have a shoe size bigger than a 7, don't bother trying anything on. Bought a lot of stuff, spent a lot of money, got an excessive amount of jeans my nuts barely fit into. Took a train back to the hotel, took a shower, and got ready for the evening. Saw the Tokyo Tower, saw the Statue of Liberty, now I'm confused. Went to the 52nd floor of the Park Hyatt to get drinks at the famous Lost in Translation bar, an amazing experience to say the least. Next morning we wake up, eat breakfast, and book it to the Shibuya station. I pretend I'm a robot while waiting for the tram to arrive. We take the tram to Tokyo Station where we get off to see the Imperial Castle. We see a ton of really old buildings which I'm sure hold a lot of historical value, but my mind was too much on Electronic Town to notice. I have to say though, the Imperial Gardens are some of the most beautiful examples of landscape architecture I have ever seen. Went back to town and ordered a hot dog at Subway, go figure. Tried to cross the street but then this happened. Had a run-in with a mysterious blue-suited man. Ate at Fridays and felt like a douche. On our way to the Sensoji Temple, we run across a huge festival. Thousands of people flood the streets as children play music and carry golden arcs. We try to cut through the crowds but fail, being bombarded with celebration at every turn. Finally making our way to the temple gates, I inhale some smoke for spiritual cleansing. Catherine and I both wash our hands and souls in a fountain for yet another cleansing tradition. The festival offers a variety of delicious foods which I try to sample as many as I can. Catherine got a chocolate banana on a stick, and I got a shark on a stick. Got mad at Kat when she wouldn't trade me her banana. Saw a group of old men not wearing any pants. Met someone I felt I could finally relate to. Watched some sushi go around on a conveyor belt. Saw a robot that made cookies. Met a man that wanted nothing more than to hug me. Partied pretty hard with some Japanese Elvis impersonators. Saw a bunch of kids dressed up as ninjas. Saw a suspicious 6-year-old with a Louis Vuitton duffel. Later that night we met some friends for dim sum, which was definitely my favorite thing I ate all trip. Kat was a little more adventurous than I was and had some jellyfish, then tried to fit a whole soup dumpling in her mouth all at once, which didn't end too well. We quickly reached the end of our 7-day trip and are depressed as hell to leave. We take a bus to the airport, chill in the first class lounge, and make it to Detroit 13 hours later. Zip through customs, grab our luggage, and make it home. I no longer know who I am, and I feel like the ghost of a total stranger.